So how does Christianity play a role in Caribbean religions?
That's a good question. Christianity has actually been a part of the history of the Caribbean religions for a long time. It all takes place back into the slavery times. Bettina Skinch, I think, wrote an article that explains the creation of Afro-Caribbean religions, which goes hand in hand with Christianity. In the earlier centuries, slaves were transported from plantation to plantation, coming from various parts of the African coast. During these trips, people from different ethnics and religious backgrounds were put together in same ships. These slaves consisted of people who believed in Allah, some in ancestors, ancestor spirits, and others in deities. This was also the same case when it came to language. There, there, um, there was no other choice but for these slaves to build a new common cultural structure so that they could reunite together and survive this time period. When they arrived to the Caribbeans, because there were so many slaves, to prevent a start of any kind of uprising, the plantation owners, who were mainly European, had all the slaves baptized in order to convert them to Christianity. And just like that, Christianity was the only religion allowed in many of the Caribbean colonies. However, in my Caribbean religion class, we learned that Christianity was also used as a tool for the colonization of the blacks. James Cone discusses this conflict in his work, A Black Theology of Liberation. He describes how Christianity could be seen on two points of view, in the view of the oppressed and the view of the colonizer. The colonizer promoted Christianity as a form of spiritual liberation. For example, they used the Bible to promise the slaves a better afterlife if they lived their lives as being good slaves. This was done to calmly keep them under the slave system. However, this form of spiritual liberation wasn't enough for the slaves. Due to the nature of the dehumanization that blacks experienced on the plantation, they wanted another kind of liberation. They wanted a God that is concerned with freedom and the establishment of equality. On these contexts, with liberation as the main idea of the gospel, blacks looked at the Bible in a different way than the whites did. The whites used it to keep the slaves away from freedom, as the blacks used it to try and gain their freedom. This is why sometimes you can hear the term Black Jesus. This is because the association of the color black is the association of the color black is also associated with oppression.